and welcome to the second episode of Diplomas and Doubts. I'm Claire.
I'm Beatrice. And this week, for our first official guest, we had on my good friend, Emily Morgenstern. She graduated from Loyola with me, and her story is unique because she did graduate from Loyola, but she didn't start her freshman year at Loyola. She is a transfer student. She started her college career at a community college back home in Michigan, and then transferred to Loyola her junior year. So she talks a little bit about that, her jobs post-grad, and we had a fun little discussion. So enjoy our episode with my good friend, Emily Morgenstern. All right, we are here for our second episode, and we have our first official guest, Emily Morgenstern. Welcome, Emily.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course, we're excited to have you, and Cam is here as well.
Of course.
All right, let's get started. So, Emily, you graduated with me from Loyola.
I did. Go Ramblers.
So, yes, go Ramblers! But you started a community college. So talk to us about kind of how your community college experience was and about your transition to Loyola and what you studied and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm from West Michigan, Muskegon. So I went to Muskegon Community College for the first 2 years. I went the first year really, to just save money and kind of get adjusted to the college life. And I didn't plan on going to second year, but at the end of my first year, I kind of realized I really didn't know what I wanted to study yet. So I was like, why go off to university and spend more money than I have to? So I really didn't focus too much on a specific subject at community college. I basically was just there to get my credits out of the way, work, save money. But I knew that I wanted to do something with writing. I've always loved writing. So I transferred to Loyola Chicago because I wanted to be in the big city, which I loved. And I love the Jesuit values of Loyola and how focused they are on social justice. So I transferred to Loyola my junior year, and I decided to become a communication study major. And I graduated there this past August. And so I picked communication studies because I knew I wanted to be in the School of Communications, but I didn't want to corner myself into one thing like journalism or public relations. I wanted to be able to get a variety of experience in different things. So at Loyola, I knew that I really wanted to be involved in extracurriculars. And the first club that I joined my first semester at Loyola was Women in Leadership, which was amazing. It was pretty much just like 40 women meeting once a week, talking about different social issues, talking about how to network, how to get ahead of life in the business world, but also how to serve your community. And I actually got on the executive board my second semester at Loyola, which was like a big deal because it's like I was really nervous about being a transfer student and not having those first 2 years to build those relationships that a lot of people do freshman year. So it was really great that I hit the ground running with that. And then my second semester at Loyola, I started to do more with my major. So I joined Rambler Sports Soccer, where I met Beatrice, the student-run sports broadcasting club on campus. And I've always grown up loving sports, but I never thought that I could do anything like sports journalism. And joining that club kind of showed me that if I do put my mind to things, that I can accomplish my goals. And so I met a lot of great people in that club, including B. Then I also started writing for the school paper, which I realized that, I really do have a passion for journalism. And not just the writing part. I love video production and putting things together.
Did you have any jobs at Loyola?
Yes. So I was a tutor. I didn't have a job my first year at Loyola because I just wanted to focus on getting adjusted to the environment there, moving cities and stuff. So my senior year, I had a job as a tutor at an elementary school in Rogers Park. And I actually worked a lot with refugee students, which I was really nervous at first because I only speak English, and a lot of the students were either speaking Spanish or Arabic, and I knew nothing. And so worked mostly with these three brothers from Syria, and they spoke no English when I met them. Luckily, there was another tutor there that spoke Arabic, and so we were able to communicate to each other like through that. And this job, it didn't seem like a job. I worked it, I think, 4 days a week, pretty much after my classes, and then some days in the morning as well. But working with those kids was just incredible to be able to see them grow and like learn at the, by the end of the year, they were able to have full conversation with me in English, which they tried to teach me Arabic. I was terrible. I can only say a few phrases. But yeah, that was the only job I had at Loyola. So I was pretty broke during college. Luckily, my parents paid for rent and would give me money if I needed it for groceries. But definitely, wait, Kim, what was the diet there? You're potatoes and popcorn.
Yeah.
That was a good, like a favorite diet of mine because they're both super cheap and they're awesome. But yeah, so I really focused a lot on classes and my extracurriculars at Loyola, and wasn't too focused on saving, like working for money, because luckily going to community college for the first 2 years, I was able to save up a lot of money, having pretty much a full-time job those 2 years.
That's cool. Okay, so after Loyola, obviously we had graduation, but you had to stay in Chicago for a little bit longer to actually get your diploma. So talk a little bit about kind of your summer after walking, I guess, for graduation. Yeah.
Yeah, so luckily I was able to walk in May because all of my friends were walking there. So that was nice to be able to have that ceremony with all of you. But I still had 6 more credits to get to my degree. So I technically graduated in August. And I really like telling people that because, it's a lot better than you guys talked a lot in the first episode, 10 months out from graduation. And I'm like, I'm only 6.5 months out. Like, give myself some slack. And so, yeah, I had to take 6 credits. One of it was an internship class, which I got an internship at a small nonprofit called Food Animal Concerns Trust. Was on the northwest side of Chicago. There was about 3 other people that worked in the office with me. I was in the communications marketing department. I ran their social media, which is really cool because I didn't really have much of a social media strategy before I came, so that was fun. But the rest of it was just kind of like entering data for like donor relations and how much money they gave and stuff. And it was really boring, and I realized that working for a small nonprofit just really wasn't for me. And then the other 3 credits that I did was an independent study with a professor, and he pretty much just set me up with this other nonprofit in Chinatown called Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community, and they're all about civic engagement, which that kind of interests me because I took a few classes. Because for a while at Loyola, I had a concentration of advocacy and social change. So that was really interesting, and I was able to do video production and build a website for them, so I was doing a lot more creative work for them, which I liked, but again, like, also had me sometimes, like, do some, like, really terrible, like, menial tasks, like, I had to call, like, voters and stuff, and I realized that, the civic engagement life really isn't for me. And so I appreciated those internships because it taught me that I think in life I really have to be passionate about the work I do, or else I'm going to hate my life, like most people. And so I finished those internships at the end of August, got my degree, finally came in the mail, felt official. I was like nervous that I was like didn't do something correct and I wasn't going to get my degree and Loyola was going to tell me like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you have to come back."
Oh my God, actually,
Like I would honestly have nightmares.
me too. I don't know why. I felt like for some reason I was never going to get my diploma and Loyola was going to contact me and be like, actually, you're missing 3 credits. You're missing 1 class before we can give you your diploma. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, I would have like stress, like dreams that like I failed an exam and like didn't do anything for a class.
Yeah.
Like it was terrifying.
I don't know why I thought that. Maybe I just overthink things. I don't know, but
I
that was
think so. I
actually a
think it's like
genuine concern that I had.
it's probably very common though, because you know, you work so hard for 4 years and then it's kind of like you're done. You get this piece of paper, but it's like I feel like I need more than just like a piece of paper to like let me know that I actually did finish all of these things.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, it is August of 2017. You have officially finished your 2 internships, and you are technically graduated from Loyola. So now what is the game plan? What is the next step after these internships?
Yeah, so after those internships, I moved back home to Muskegon the end of August, and my my game plan was, you know, start applying to jobs. Um, and having those internships that summer I just kept thinking about the work that I would do with Rambler Sports Soccer. You know, I loved being around sports, not necessarily, you know, just being a reporter, but just being in the sports industry. So my job search started with me mostly just applying to jobs in sports. You know, it was different reporter like jobs around the country, a lot of jobs for like Fox Sports, NBC Sports, for like running social media and stuff. And so that's where I started my job search. And I got my first interview for a sports broadcasting job for a local radio station here in Grand Rapids. And it was this local sports station. And it was for the morning talk show, which I was super excited. You know, like this is like one of my first interviews. It's in the field that I want to be in, which was awesome. And after the interview, during the interview like process, I realized that the show that I was applying for really didn't talk too much about sports because I really didn't do too much research when I was applying. You know, when you're applying to jobs, you're like, okay, I see it. I have these like skills, these qualifications. Let's go. Cover letter, resume.
Yeah. Literally any opening that you think you qualify for, it's like send, 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 send.
Yeah, so I realized that it was mostly just a morning talk show, and it was just 2 guys at the time that were hosting it. And, you know, they weren't the best kind of people I'd want to work with, let alone like listen to 3 hours of them in the morning.
Yeah.
So luckily I didn't hear back after my interview, even though I had a great interview. It was actually with a woman who was in charge of the station. But I mean, honestly, I think it was a blessing in disguise that I didn't hear back from that because I knew it. Like I wasn't ready to compromise my morals and ethics just for the sake of a job.
Yeah.
Which is important to remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know, applying to a job that you don't think would be the best fit is totally different from interviewing for something that you don't really like and then like accepting it. So that's just a little bit of advice for anyone's job search is don't compromise your personal morals for the sake of having a job. And so after that interview, I didn't hear too much back. It was about December. I found this fellowship with the Boston Red Sox for to be in their work in their community relations department, which I was like, this is awesome. Like, social justice plus like sports. That's literally everything that I've ever wanted in a job. So I applied for that. I got through the first round of interviews, and then so this is around Christmas time. So they're like, you'll hear back from us, you know, mid-January. And I was like, okay, awesome. Like going into Christmas, I'm gonna stop stressing about jobs for a while. Like, you know, I randomly found like this fellowship for the Red Sox like on LinkedIn. I wasn't even searching for it. And so I was like, okay, this is a sign. Like, maybe this is it. Like, my job search is finally over. Like, I found, like, my perfect job. I'm so excited about life. Let's just have a good Christmas and good New Year's
Aw.
and not stress. And so during Christmas and New Year's, thankfully, my mom, who is, like, the voice of reason for me, she was like, I know you have this, like, job in Boston, you know, that you could have, but, you know, you kind of do need some money. And I was like, yeah, I kind of do, because I, you know, haven't been working since, like, the summer. And so at this time, starting in October, I actually got an internship at the Muskegon Chamber of Commerce. And it was in a marketing position, running social media, helping event planning, which I enjoyed, but it was unpaid. And so, you know, I needed some income. So there was a job opening at a local car dealership here in Muskegon, and the general manager was a good family friend. So I was able to go in and interview, let him know, like, hey, I am, you know, searching for a full-time job. I'm not exactly sure how long I'll be here, but he was very flexible with that. So I got that job right around New Year's. And then I was still working at the Chamber of Commerce, just 2 days a week, unpaid internship, but, you know, resume builder, which is something that I really didn't want to do, because I was like, I'm not going to graduate college and do another unpaid internship. But that's also another thing that I've learned in this job search, is you really just got to roll with the punches. If you have something that will look great on a resume, which my internship at the Chamber of Commerce did, you have to take it. You know, luckily I was able to still live here with my parents, not have to pay for rent. So I had all those bases covered. So I started working at the car dealership, and it was nice, you know, finally get some spending money for myself, saving up. And so it was like 2 weeks into the job, and I was like, hey, it's mid-January. I'm going to hear from the Boston Red Sox. You know, it's all going to work out. It's going to be okay. And so then I didn't hear from them for a while. And then at the Chamber of Commerce, there was an opening position for a part-time job. So it was basically everything I was doing as an intern, but I just got a lot more responsibility, which was nice. And then I was finally getting paid. I was like, okay, this isn't bad. You know, I'm getting some income. Like, this is nice. Gonna hear from Boston soon. Like, everything's gonna be okay. I finally, the beginning of February, heard from the Boston Red Sox. Did not get a second interview.
Oh, no.
So that was a major bummer. And so then at this time, I was working about 50 hours a week between the Chamber of Commerce and the car dealership. And so I really wasn't applying to too many more jobs. And I was like, okay, this is fine. Like, I'll just continue my job search again. Things will work out. But I realized after working from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., like Monday through Thursday, I was super tired. And I was also working every Saturday at the car dealership. So I was like, I'm so tired. So the 2 days that I didn't work, actually, I also sometimes worked Fridays. So pretty much Sunday, the one day I didn't work, I was like, I don't want to apply to jobs right now.
Yeah.
Like, all I want to do is sleep and watch Netflix and, like, chill with my dog. So I was still with my job at the chamber. I knew that this part-time position was temporary, but luckily they really liked me there, and they were very flexible with my schedule. And so I knew that I could stay there pretty much as long as I want. You know, I might not be getting as many hours as I was, but I could still stay there and, like, you know, have something to do during the week. And so we had this big event that happened about 2 weeks ago, and I did a lot of event prep for that, helped run, like, the social media for the event. So it was really busy the whole time that I was working there part-time. And so this was last week. It was the week after the event, and I realized that there really wasn't too much more work for me to do. And I finally, like, stood up for myself, and I talked to my boss, who thankfully is very understanding. And I told her, I was like, hey, I think this is going to be my last week at the chamber. And I really didn't think that I would like come out and say that, but I just came out and said it. And I was like, okay, wow, like this is happening. I'm done with this job now. So I worked there. Thursday was my last day, which was really bittersweet because the whole office was amazing. And I honestly really did learn a lot at my job. And I learned that I really do like marketing. Like I never thought that I would be into marketing so much. And so crazy thing happened. Thursday, my last day, in the morning at the chamber, I got this email that I actually got a job interview for one of the few jobs that I applied to, and I wasn't too tired. And so, an interview, I've had interviews before, which doesn't mean I have a job, but just having that like glimmer of hope at, what I thought was kind of the end for me, was nice. And so I actually had that job interview today. I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to get my hopes up once again. But it was a good interview, and I realized in the interview, everything I did at the Chamber of Commerce would be like what I would be doing at that job. So even though I didn't want to take this internship at the Chamber of Commerce, it honestly did pay off for me in the end. And I know that there's going to be so many other jobs that I've been applying for, this week since I'm not working during the day anymore, that I'm going to utilize the skills that I had at that unpaid internship that I didn't want to be at that will help me get my full-time job. So right now I'm still working at the car dealership, which isn't as bad as I thought it would be. In the beginning, it was kind of rough. Like I work evenings and then I work Saturday during the day. And the place is like always busy, which is nice, but I kind of just sit at my desk, answer phones, and then do like few other things, few other tasks. And at first, like I didn't talk to anyone, I didn't know anyone. It was like awful. Like I would just like sit there on my shifts, like wanting to go home. But luckily now, like I talk to the guys. Like it's March Madness right now. I'm like in charge of like the bracket pool at work, so that's exciting. I got people excited about Loyola Chicago and the Ramblers, which is awesome. So that's fun. So, life's not where I thought it would be, 6.5 months after graduation, but like I'm happy. I'm not okay. I'm happy. Like I'm not. It could be worse.
Yeah, I don't know
It
how
could be
you do
worse.
it.
That's good. You're so
No, I'm
positive.
2 months into the job search and I'm over it. I hate it.
You have to be.
You have so much
Yeah.
stamina. I'm tired. I want it to be over.
Like, come back to me in 2 months and I'll probably be at the same place. But no, that is one thing that I realized is that you have to be positive in this job search or else it will be the worst thing ever. And one of the things I've learned in the job search is that just because you're not where you're at, where you want to be, doesn't mean that you like can't make the best of your situation.
Okay, cool. So have you learned anything from the job search? Like what have you taken from, having to apply to all these jobs post-grad?
I definitely have learned a lot. One of the biggest things is to be flexible. Like in the beginning, I wasn't flexible, and it took me from the end of August to mid-October to taking that internship at the Chamber of Commerce to realize, okay, like this isn't the ideal situation, but it's something that I have in front of me. It's like an offer that I have, and I need to take it. But one of the biggest things I've learned is you can't let a full-time job or having your dream job define you, or not having your dream job define you. Because for me, honestly, up until this point in our lives, it's been decided, you go to high school, you graduate from high school, you go to college, and we've only gone that far into our lives, and we've always had big, like, celebrations for the next chapter of our lives, and we've kind of, like, had it structured to where we know what's going to happen next. So this is the first time in our lives where we haven't had something planned out for us. And what I've learned is that just because I'm graduated from college and I don't have a full-time job doesn't mean that I have to stop living my life until I get a full-time job. And that's like, honestly, that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is that just because I'm not at the place where I want to be doesn't mean that I can't still enjoy my life. Doesn't mean that I can like do other things that I want to do.
No, yeah, I think that that's like something that a lot of people struggle with outside of college. Like right after graduation, it almost feels as if you need to find a job as fast as you possibly can. If not, you're being compared to other graduates and, you feel like you're falling behind. But like, I feel like that's not the case at all. Every person is different. And even though a lot of people, especially older people, pressure students to find jobs right out of college, I feel like each person has to do it at their own pace, and whether or not they find a job right away, like it's not, don't think it should be a big deal. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation.
I definitely agree with that. And what you said about older people pressuring us young people to get a job, because that was my first like couple months of my job search. Before I had the internship at the Chamber of Commerce, before I was working at the dealership, even now, like still working at the dealership, I didn't want to tell people, yeah, I don't have a job yet, or yeah, I'm just working at a car dealership right now, even though I have a college degree answering phones, or like doing an unpaid internship with a college degree. And I really stopped, like, I didn't want to go out into like public places because I knew I'd run into people I know, because Muskegon's a pretty small town. And, they'd ask me, like, how, like, what's up, and before, when I came back from college, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm at Loyola, like, I'm doing all these great things, like, it's awesome. But now it's like, I don't even want to go to, like, the grocery store because I'm going to run into, like, people I know, like, adults, and they're going to ask me, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm just working at a car dealership. And I was afraid, I was so afraid of what people would think of me that I, like, pretty much stopped like enjoying my life, living my life to the fullest as I used to, because I wasn't where I wanted to be.
I totally understand that. When I first started at the truck dealership, I was like a little bit secretive, like on social media and stuff, about like where I was working. Like I was like implying that I had a job, but I didn't like to say that it was at a truck dealership. Like, so it just felt awkward and weird, and I was answering phones and talking to truckers all day. And then finally at some point I was like, I feel like I've worked here forever. Like, who cares? I'm at a truck dealership. Like, it's fun enough for the summer. And then when I would talk about it, it'd always be like, it's just for the summer. It's just for the summer. But like, it was no big deal. Like, I only did it for 4 months. I should have just been more honest that like I was spending my summer at a truck dealership. Like, it wasn't as secretive and shameful as I felt like it was.
I relate to that so hard, because now this day and age, it's that big social media post that people make when they get their full-time job. And
I hate those. I hate them. I'm so happy to announce.
Yes.
I'm so proud to say,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. Like, I hate you all.
The worst. And because I didn't have a social media post, and I wasn't going to make a social media post about having an unpaid internship about the chamber. And I wasn't going to have a social media post letting people know, like, yeah, I'm working at Preferred Chrysler in Muskegon. Hit your girl up if you need a Jeep. No, like, and now it's like, even when I do get a full-time job, I realize I'm not going to make a social media post because it's like way too far gone. They're like, oh, Emily's been doing nothing for 8 months. But yeah, actually, funny story. Today, the Chamber of Commerce did make a post for me about ending my internship, and it was very nice because the Chamber of Commerce is a membership organization for businesses, and they were like, if you need like a marketing like person, like Emily, like hit Emily up, which is really nice. But I was actually like really scared at first, because I was like, my friends from college are gonna see that I was doing an internship, and I have a degree and they have full-time jobs. But then I was like, no, because then my boss like shared it and like was like so like sad for me to leave and stuff. And I was like, okay, I made great like relationships at this job. I've had a great time working at this job. Like, I should be proud of it. So I shared it on my Facebook and I was like, heck yeah, this was a great experience. I loved it. And I look back at my time now and I'm like, I really did enjoy it.
That's awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
really
fuck
cool.
people and their social media posts. Like, just live your life.
They're the worst. That's why when I got my job, I did not want to post one of those. Like, even though I did want people to know, like, hey, I got a job, when I was in the job search right out of college, and whenever I would see those posts, I would hate that person, and I would hate my life too. So I was like, I'm not gonna be that person. I'm not gonna post something on Facebook or Twitter that I got a job. It's just not worth it. And I know how I felt when I read it when I didn't have a job, so I'm just not even gonna bother. Not gonna do it.
It's like, are you really getting this job because you want it, or do you want the likes on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram?
Yes.
Like, I saw this probably a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of like, are you living life? Oh, shoot, what was it? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. Hold on. So I saw this like a couple weeks ago, and it was like, are you doing these things because you want to, or are you doing these things because you want to post it on Instagram and get the likes?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, they do things just because it'll look good on social media. And that's one of the things that I've learned in this job search is because I don't have that exciting of a life right now. Like, I started doing the 1 second a day because, you know, last year I like crapped out and I lost my video, so I had to end it, even though last year was a really exciting year for me. And so I started doing it this year, and I looked and I was like, it's pretty boring. But at the same time, like, I'm not trying to act like I'm doing something else. Mm-hmm. You know, I know people who will like take videos from like other day and look like they're doing like something so special. Mm-hmm. When they're really not. And it's like, you know what? I'm proud of my like dull life right now because I'm like learning and growing and becoming myself. And it's great. And you know what? Yeah. You're going to see at the beginning of 2018, Emily's life was pretty boring. And all she really did was like drive and drink coffee. Absolutely. But hopefully by the end of 2018, it'll pick up.
Yes, that's amazing. I love that. That's great. Well, I guess we'll end it with one question. So if you could go back to graduation day and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
If I could go back to graduation day, I would tell myself to soak it all in. I would tell myself to breathe, to chill out. You actually did it. Because at graduation in May, at the ceremony, I was really nervous because I still had those 6 credits to finish. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like a fraud. I was like, I really don't have my degree yet. All of these people finished their final exams and stuff. And it's like, I still have 2 more classes to take. So I was really nervous during graduation, and I was freaking out, like, having like one of those dreams, you know, like I didn't graduate, like it's all a joke. So I would tell myself to slow down, enjoy it. You actually did all of this work. You worked hard for 4 years to get to this point. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have fun. And don't stress about things because everything works out in the end.
That's great. I love that. Well,
I love you.
We love you, Emily. Thanks for joining us on our podcast. We hope you had fun.
I had a great time, and I'm so happy that you guys are doing this podcast because I know, you know, both of you might not love exactly where you're at with your jobs and your careers and stuff, but I know that you guys enjoy this podcast, and it's so good to have this type of outlet. And trust me, everyone is excited for this podcast. We're listening. We can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. We also can't wait to, you know, go on this journey with you girls.
Wow, Diplomas and Doubts #1 fan. Amazing.
Yeah, don't forget me. Don't forget us little people when you make it big.
Wow. Well,
That's amazing.
well, I would love to have an update episode in a few months. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I hope you have an update in episode for me in a few months.
Yes, there will be.
I hope I'm still not at the car dealership.
Listen, you guys, I won't make a social media post when I get a job, but we're going to do a whole update episode about it, okay?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Why have a social media post when you can have a podcast episode?
Yes, agreed.
I gotta say, Beatrice, my favorite part about our conversation with Emily was that she and I both somehow ended up as receptionists at dealerships post-graduation.
Whoa, you're so right. I didn't even think about that.
I love that. That makes me feel better about myself.
I love that.
Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Our episode today is brought to you by the undiscovered typo in your resume. You need to take care of that. You need to find that typo this weekend.
Please find that typo, because it's the worst feeling when you look back at a resume or a cover letter that you've already sent as an application and you find a typo. For example, once I saw that instead of years of experience, get ready for this, I put ears of experience.
Ears!
And I wanted to
love
die.
that.
I wanted to die. It was the worst. And I just was like, hey, you know what? Didn't get that position. Let's move on. So yes, please be on the lookout for those typos. They're very important. But other than that, thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Diplomas and Doubts. We had a great time. Please join us next week when we are joined with another guest. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.